Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Good evening and welcome to a Mighty Blazes monthly or whenever we can get all together um, book rec, Blazing Book Rec show. And my name is Mary Weber O'Malley. I'm here with Karen and I'm a sometimes host and I'm a scheduler and Karen does all of the behind the scenes things that need doing for a Mighty Blaze.
Yep.
Um, if you haven't joined us before, welcome. We are thrilled to have you here. And if you want to know more about what A Mighty Blaze has going on and who we are and what we do, jump over to our website. It's got it all there, as well as our calendar of all of our interviews. We have interviews, I think, 4 or 5 days a week now. So we have something for everybody. And this is my favorite night of the month because I just get to come on with Karen and sometimes other Blazers and talk about books that I'm really excited about that are releasing. Mine are all releasing in February. And you can get all of these titles from our bookshop stall, bookshop.org, which is the indie book world's answer to the big A. If you're shopping on the big A, please stop it. Bookshop is great. Um, if you are looking for audiobooks, then Libro.fm is the place to find those. Also, supporting your indie bookshops. Um, Gosh, I will, after I talk, I will plug in all of my titles and authors so that you've got them there. Um, so you can order any or all of them and support a Mighty Blaze and everything that we do for readers and authors. So, did I forget anything, Karen?
No, I think you're good. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So, first of all, for anybody and everybody joining, how are we all doing? Collective deep breath. Books have more than ever been a great escape for me right now. Um, the stack I have for you tonight is a little bit of everything, and I'm super excited to bring these titles to you. So, the first one is nonfiction. This is a memoir that ripped me open, gutted me, also informed me, um, and healed me all in the same book. This is Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks. So, Geraldine is the Pulitzer Prize winning author of Horse. And she was married for over 30 years to Tony Horwitz. And in 2019, on Memorial Day, Tony was on tour, Geraldine was home, and she got a phone call saying that her husband had collapsed on a sidewalk in DC and died. Um, we have these very romanticized views of the widow and the grieving, and we just wear black and we don't do anything. And the reality is very different. And Geraldine talks about that. I actually made a lot of changes, personal changes, in our life after reading what she had to go through. So things like their joint credit cards were all canceled immediately. And when she went to reapply, her credit limit was only a third of what it had been when her husband was also on the card. Um, their health insurance, which they'd gotten through Tony's job, was canceled. Now she got it reinstated, but that took time. She had to deal with children and deal with all of this paperwork and red tape and getting her husband's body back so that they could mourn and have a service. So it took years to kind of get to a place where she had the space to be able to begin the grieving and healing process. And she booked a flight to a remote island off the coast of Australia with the intention of finally giving herself time to mourn. In a shack on a pristine, rugged coast, she went days without seeing another person. There she pondered the various ways in which cultures grieve and what rituals of her own might help to rebuild a life around the void of Tony's death. This is just an absolutely stunning, wonderful memoir that I don't think I'll ever forget. So, Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks was my first one. Now, as I said, I'm all over the place, which my emotions these days are all over the place. And depending on where I am emotionally and mentally, I've been reading a lot of different types of books. This next one is a thriller. Holy moly, The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins. I really thought this was going to be a book, maybe a mystery about, a librarian that kind of either sees a crime or gets into a little trouble. No, this novel shocked and surprised me page after page. After the murder of her best friend, a librarian's search for answers leads back to her own dark secrets in this sweeping novel about a woman transformed by war, family, vengeance, and love. Hannah Babich is a quiet middle-aged librarian in Minnesota who wants nothing more than to be left alone. But when a detective arrives with the news that her best friend has been murdered, Hannah knows that something evil has come for her, a dark remnant of the past she and her friend had shared. 30 years before, Hannah was someone else, Nura Divjak, a teenager growing up in the mountains of war-torn Bosnia, until Serbian soldiers arrived to slaughter her entire family before her eyes. Whew! Wow. Mary says, Minnesota mystery authors rock, don't they? I have a special place in my heart for Minnesota because that's where my family hails from, and I agree. I mean, Minnesota people in general, but Alan Eskins, I've loved his books. This is by far my favorite. This had me holding my breath page after page. The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins. All right, my next book is not for everybody, and it's probably not for a lot of people, but if you love dark and gory horror, you will love The Lamb by Lucy Rose. There's so much to this story that if you're queasy and if horror, gory stuff is not your thing, totally get it, and that is a-okay. But if you're okay with it, the story, once you see behind the gore, and I'll tell you, it starts with a little girl picking fingers out of a drain and eating them, and it it goes from there. But it was reminiscent for me of the original German fairy tales where little children got eaten and Hansel and Gretel got put into the oven. It spares nothing, but it's also, there's so much more. It is a folk tale. It is a love story. It's an enchantment. It's this mother and daughter living in the woods by themselves and collecting strays to eat. But one day, a beautiful woman named Eden arrives at their door, and Eden's arrival changes everything. I will never forget the ending to this book, ever. Never, ever. I close my eyes and I'm right there, and it still twists my gut. God, I love this book. The Lamb by Lucy Rose. So, going to take you back. Going to bring everybody back now to just a beautiful story. This is one of my favorite authors, Christy Clancy. She's a Wisconsin author, also wonderful authors. She wrote Shoulder Season and, Karen, do you remember what her other, why am I blanking on her other book?
Oh boy, yes.
Let's see. Oh, The Second Home.
Yes, yes, you're right.
So yes, I always remember one or the other, but not both. Christy is back with The Snowbirds. Wait, let me see if I can get this. There we go. I'm trying to get it so it doesn't disappear. The Snowbirds. And look at that Palm Springs cover. It's so pretty. The Snowbirds is about a Midwest middle-aged couple, kind of upper middle-aged, heading into senior territory, that decides, and they live, they're together, but they kind of live separate lives. And so they've been together 30 years. So they decide to escape the bitter cold for hot desert sun of Palm Springs. And when they arrive at Le Desert, a quirky condo community where everyone knows everyone's business, the wife immediately embraces the opportunity to make new friends and just to explore a more adventurous side of her personality. Her husband is struggling to kind of find his footing there, and he goes on these long walks. And one day she gets a call that he has not come back. And she's not sure if he's really lost or injured in the desert, or if this time he's actually left her for good. So lots of layers in this story. The Snowbirds. If you were anywhere in the Midwest, Christy will be touring for this book. We're going to see her, Karen and I, next week in Evanston. She will be in Palm Springs. She'll be in Minnesota. I will also be seeing her up in Minneapolis. She'll be in Wisconsin. She's going to be everywhere, and she is just a delightful author to go and see in person.
She is. She's really great.
She is just terrific. So highly recommend going to see her on tour. My next author is a Chicago author, and this book, perfect for Black History Month, perfect for the times we're living in. Nancy Johnson is back with People of Means. Nancy's first book came out in 2020. I think it was a COVID book. She was a COVID debut baby. I loved The Kindest Lie, but Nancy has really come into her own with People of Means. Nancy's gift to me is the fact that I learned so much from reading her books, but it's not in your face like, here are lessons you need to learn. She teaches through her storytelling, and she's a gifted storyteller. And this is a dual timeline, 1959, I think, and 1992. It's a mother and a daughter. They each are going through turbulent racial times. They have their own reckoning with civil rights, and each one has to decide what they're going to do in pursuit of their own dreams and hopes for themselves. So People of Means, Nancy Johnson. She will also, I think she's touring the next couple of weeks in the Chicago area. So if you're downtown Chicago, catch her there, because this book is just fantastic. All right, my final title, because it's February and we will be we're coming up on Valentine's Day, and in any world, but in today's world, there are times I need to go dark with the dark horror. There are other times I just need my heart lifted, and that's what this book did. This is A 40-Year Kiss by Nicholas Butler. Oh my God, I love this book so much, and so much that my blurb is right there on the back of it. I said Nick Butler is at the top of his game. I have been waiting a long time to read a book like this, and Nick's writing will live forever in my heart. So Nick has written novels across genres. His last book, and I loved it, was Godspeed, and it was set I think in Wyoming or Montana, and it was like destruction guys, and it was meth, and it was a manly book. This is about a man who, he and his wife, they get married in their 20s. Their marriage is very short-lived. He's just not ready for responsibility of being a husband, and possibly a father. He drinks too much. They split up. He goes off to live his life, and he works and he travels the country for his job, And when he retires, he realizes, he's got a nice nest egg and nothing else. So he moves back to his small little Wisconsin town in the hopes that he can reconnect with that woman he was married to in his 20s. If nothing else, then to be able to kind of make amends for his part in the failure of their marriage. It starts with him nervously waiting for her to walk into this little bar, and it's a love story. It's a romance, and it's a romance between people who are in their 60s. And I loved that because Nick really talks about what it's like to be in an aging body when you were with somebody in your 20s, and now you're going to be with them again, and things look and feel a lot different. He talks about the realities of small town life. In fact, he got the idea from this book from sitting in a bar in Wisconsin, little bar, and hearing this conversation at a table nearby, and getting the feeling that this was a couple saying goodbye. And he thought, well, what if I make it a story about a couple that's saying hello again after all this time? So it's a hug for the heart. You just end up holding it. I laughed. It made me feel all the feels: angry, fearful, sad, grief-stricken, surprised. I laughed. I cried. I loved all those things in A 40-Year Kiss by Nick Butler. Those are all my titles, and oh my gosh, I hope that the only thing I can think is if somebody, I have history with Alan Eskin, so really, unless you're looking for sports, I think I've covered almost everything else. Or maybe not. Well, no, The Lamb is kind of magical realism fantasy, so I've covered it all. I have.
You have, Mary. You're our Blaze book fairy. You're always the best at your books.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you so much, Mary. And I'm just going to add on about Nicholas Butler that Jenna, our one of our Blaze co-founders, is going to be interviewing Nicholas Butler, I believe on February 28th. So be sure to tune into that interview because it'll be really great. Jenna's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal, between Jenna and Nick. It's just going to be a wonderful interview.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I just have a couple books here for you. My first is, and sorry, I don't have the actual books, but this is a love story by Jessica Sofer. And this one, it's a Read with Jenna pick. And it's also our other Blaze co-founder, Caroline Levitt, interviewed Jessica today. So be sure to check out that interview, and you can find it on our YouTube channel, along with everything else, all our other interviews. So this is a love story, is an intimate and lyrical celebration of great love, great art, and the sacrifices we make for both. And it's about Abe and Jane, who have been together for 50 years. And they've also been coming to Central Park during all that time as starry-eyed young lovers, as frustrated and exhausted parents, and as artists watching their careers take flight. So this is an homage to New York City, to Central Park, to romance, and even to loss. It is about a love that endures despite what life throws at us, or perhaps even because of it. So be sure to check out Jessica Sofer's new novel. My second book is a thriller. It's called You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Plago. And this I'm super excited about because we just had Andy on Crime Time with Hank Phillippi Ryan just this week. And I was behind the scenes for that. And it was an awesome and energetic, engaging interview. And again, please check it out. And You Are Fatally Invited if you like Agatha Christie, if you like the movie Knives Out, if you like thrillers, this is a great one to check out. This is about an exclusive thriller writers retreat hosted on a private island, and it turns lethal when one of the authors is found murdered. So again, if you like Agatha Christie, if you like the kind of thriller mystery, be sure to check it out. And again, Hank's interview with Andy was so great. And Andy even had a hand in designing the cover. And on the inside part of the book, there's a map that she created, and she drew the map. So that's also really awesome. She's an awesome artist. So yeah, so that was really fun. My third book, Mary knows I love music and books about musicians. So this is called The Name of the Band is REM. And this is a New York Times Book Review Editor's Choice. And it's just a detailed history of the band. It's rich. It's a rich, intimate biography. It delves into the lives of REM, of Michael Stipe, Peter Buck, Mike Mills, and Bill Berry when they were just starting the band, when they were just 4 college friends. And it goes from there. And I'm listening to it on an audiobook from Libro FM, and I really like it. I'm just enjoying hearing about the origin story and everything. So be sure to check that out. And let's see. My last book is Last Twilight in Paris by Pam Jenoff. So Pam is a New York Times bestselling author. She's a great historical fiction author. And this one, the description says, a Parisian department store, a mysterious necklace, and a woman's quest to unlock a decade-old mystery are at the center of this riveting novel of love and survival. So this is also, if you love historical fiction, be sure to check out Pam Jenoff. Excuse me. And also, just for you to know, Jenna Bloom, again, is going to be interviewing Pam tomorrow at 4 p.m., so be sure to check that out. And Pam and Jenna are good friends, so it'll be a really fun, interesting interview. So those are my picks for this time.
I would say we have got every reader covered with this group of books. That's what I didn't have music.
Right. That's right, Mary.
Usually count on you to bring up the music ones.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a Grateful Dead book coming out.
Oh, really?
I think in the summer.
Okay.
So yeah, that I'm sure will be a fascinating book as well.
Yeah. They're a very interesting group for sure. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Great.
So great. Well, thank you everybody who has joined us tonight. As Karen said, we've had a couple of great interviews, and Pam Jenoff will be tomorrow. All of our interviews take place live on Facebook. Are we still on Twitter?
No, we're on Facebook and YouTube.
Facebook and YouTube. Excellent. So, and all of our interviews live forever on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. You can go over there, subscribe, and you can catch years of interviews on there. And I mean years. What is this? Yeah. I think it's going to be 5 years.
5th year. Yeah. So we have tons and tons of interviews. Yeah.
Absolutely. So check out all of the wonderful authors that we have interviewed as a group. And we also have a podcast. Our podcast host takes some of our past interviews and puts them onto our podcast. If you are a podcast listener, you can catch them there as well. Mm-hmm. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I hope that you heard 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 titles that intrigued you. And if so, that you'll pop over to our bookshop stall on bookshop.org and get those books there so that you can support A Mighty Blaze and keep us bringing you book recs like this. So, okay, Mary, I'm so glad this was your first time finding us. So happy. So you can go onto YouTube and see our past book rec shows too, and we'll get you hooked up. We'll get your TBR tilting. Kim, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all back here the first Thursday of March, and we will have another fantastic group of books for you then.
Yes, thanks so much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye now.
Bye.